Mr. Chairman, Deputy and friends, thank you very much for the warm welcome to Donegal. And I want to thank Joe Mulholland and his team for the invitation. And I was here on a previous occasion, which is well documented, and we're certainly implementing some of the material 2 years ago, Joe. Someone in the media once said that an audience is slow to grow and fast to go. I'm sure that's true, but it's even more true in another area of life. When it comes to politics and to public administration, trust is slow to grow and fast to go. Trying to drive the engine of state in the absence of trust is like trying to drive a car without oil, and the thing is likely to grind to a shuddering halt and its innards may be terminally damaged. That's where we stand in Ireland right now. A major lack of trust has developed, and developed for good reasons. We have spent a decade in a sustained post-mortem examining through tribunals how trust died. We have been disgusted, astonished and even furious, and every now and again as details of the press coverage of large sums of money emerged, we have indeed laughed, but what's that old saying? We laugh that we may not weep. Now Ireland has reached a definitive point summed up in 2 words: never again. What the Mahan report exposed must never happen again. We must not hide behind any of the ready caveats, like, oh, it was just a small number of people who feathered their own nest, or the majority of them came from one party, or that's history. We mustn't hide behind such comments, because they reduce the issue to party politics, which I am not here to do today. And it's much more than that. It's an issue of patriotism, of pride and trust. It's an issue that goes to the heart of our democracy and our responsibility to the people of this nation. The issue is to take action to ensure that there will be no more assaults on trust, no more betrayals, no more corruption. Rebuilding public confidence and trust requires us to set down standards, to introduce regulations and to develop legislation. It means reform. Reform is one of those concepts everybody approves of. The Taoiseach made the point on Monday that there has been talk of reforming the Shannon for a long, long time, except it didn't happen. Similarly, over the past decade, we've had lots of talk about reform of local government, except it didn't happen. So I believe it's now time to take action, and this is the year. Shortly, when every aspect of what I propose has been tested up and down and sideways, I'll be announcing the details of radical changes ever undertaken in this area, to reform what's not working and what has led to abuse, to replace the outdated and dysfunctional systems and structures and approaches that meet the needs we now have, and to restore trust. Local government reform matters because if, as Tip O'Neill said, all politics is local, all trust is local too. So citizens in every city and town and rural area throughout this country encounter public administration and politics up close and personal through their own local authority. That encounter must create trust. It must be so clear, so straightforward and so clean that the individual, the householder, the business person comes away reassured that their interests will be vindicated, not subordinated to someone with more money, more contacts or more connections. This is why I am mandated by a reforming government to drag the system of local government into the 21st century, so that it delivers more to the community it serves and puts people first. The programme, when it's implemented, will be called Putting People First. It will introduce significant changes to regional, county, city and town governance. Every aspect of local government will see change, and we will see action. First of all, where people, or where possible, public services should be delivered through locally based bodies rather than centralised agencies. Locally based bodies are, or should be, best able to respond to local needs and local circumstances. Local authorities should be delivering services, enhancing quality of life through local amenities, and delivering an environment in which business can prosper and employment created. local government should, and indeed will, lead economic, social and community development where it should be led locally. It should and will deliver services that work at costs that make sense. Now, let's be clear. I'm not talking about reform of a bad system. I'm talking about reform of an out-of-date system. Local government structures generally in Ireland have not been updated since the 19th century. I believe in local democratic representation. That means a rebalancing of functions from management to the elected member. It means updating the structures to increase efficiency of delivery and quality of service that will give value for money to the people that are paying for those services. And if more people are paying for more services in the future, they should expect a good and timely service. That will most likely mean that I will be cutting the number of councillors and the number of authorities. But the town will continue to be the focal point of any new local government structure. Any structure should have real powers and not just token titles. And 21st century local government does not require the same structures of over 100 years ago. I am certainly going to strengthen the oversight and accountability for service provision, including, as Breed said, service-level agreements with all stakeholders. Local government must look to new income streams and redress the removal of local taxation, which was dealt a very severe blow in 1977. That decision alone brought about political centralisation. If people want services at local level, they should be paid for locally as far as possible. Otherwise, we have more tax and work. And it's worth reminding people that 80% of the adjustment for the EU-IMF agreement in 2009 and 2010 was out of taxation on work, out of income tax. I believe in broadening the base. When it comes to economic development and job creation, the objective is to radically enhance the role local authorities play. New structures will be required. Streamlining and integration will be required. This will be a long overdue cutting away of that duplication and overlap. It will allow us to deliver to entrepreneurs what they need: strong guidance and speedy answers. Two themes run through the thinking behind this reform. The first is measurement, the second is communication. The business books all say that if you can't measure it, it's not worth doing. Well, if we can't measure performance, for example, how do we know we are succeeding? And how can we satisfy the customer, the people that's paying, that is actually happening? That will have to change. We're going to have more robust performance monitoring in order to ensure that we're looking at the end result, not the activities, the value for money, the people and not the processes. We also need to capture when one local authority is doing something good or new and make sure that that's replicated throughout other local authorities, and that we eliminate, as previous speakers have said, the silo mentality. Local authority will be required to provide good quality public information. I rely on the local authorities to understand exactly what good quality public information means. It means that every communication is immediately understandable to the citizen, the layperson, the one who may not have the third level education, and who may be daunted with the big impressive words that bureaucracies often use way too often. You will appreciate that I can only begin to sketch out the programme of reform here today, and we'll have more to say very shortly. But the inevitable question that arises when we look at a programme of such scope and scale is the consequence question. How much is all this radical change going to set us back? So thinking about this question on my way here, it suddenly struck me that allowing the system to become as dysfunctional and as mistrusted as it is actually costs money. Inefficiency and corruption can cost the state billions, as we know. Inefficiency and corruption have cost the state billions. In tribunals alone, they have cost us as a nation. And that doesn't address the costly trailing wires of bad decisions and actions over the past decade or more. The reverse should be the case when it comes to reform. Reform should save the state money. Indeed, the evidence is that it's already saving the state money. Local government has been ahead of most sectors in the changes it has made to reduce costs and drive efficiency, with €830 million of savings made since 2009. I will ensure that this agenda will continue to be pursued vigorously to achieve the highest standards of customer service. It's not well known that the sector is well on the way to achieving €511 million of savings identified in the Efficiency Review Group report. of which €346 million were identified as potential direct efficiency savings. Savings of €195 million are attributed to efficiency measures as opposed to a reduction in activity, and the world hasn't come to an end. A further target of €150 million in efficiency savings is out there to be achieved through better procurement and through centralisation or regionalisation of particular functions. We will be establishing a dedicated office to make sure that this happens with our colleagues in local government. The ongoing rationalisation of staffing in the local government sector has to be acknowledged. There are 8,432 people less in local government now than there was in 2008. At a critical time for our country, local government, in my view, has a crucial role to play in Ireland's national recovery. The action programme that I will present will empower local government in an entirely new way, particularly in relation to economic development and, most importantly, sustaining and creating jobs. This programme will affirm the need for the system to embrace change, share the burden, to modernise and to adapt to the new financial circumstances that we cannot ignore, and deliver better services with less resources. Putting people first will reinforce local government as the primary means of public service at local level and harness the commitment of elected members and officials alike. So I am committed to building stronger and more cohesive local government, to give it a greater capacity not only to address the challenges we face, but also to promote local community, social and economic development. Over the last number of years, I have consulted widely and I have reflected deeply on how local government should be developed. I have 23 years' experience as a member of Kilkenny County Council. The one thing that's very clear to me is that there is a keen appetite for change out there and a matching desire to be able to trust again. What the government wants is to take the system by the scruff of the neck and turn its face to the public that it's supposed to serve, not the other way around. That sounds simple, but it's not going to be simple. It's going to be challenging and it's going to be difficult. But what I can promise you is a focused action programme for reform that puts people first and ensures that local authorities operate at the highest professional and ethical standards. My hope is that people will be able to see change happening soon and repeatedly. If and when they see those changes coming into force, they'll begin to believe that local authorities are organised through a rational and efficient system, led by committed and effective councillors, staffed by highly competent professionals, managed expertly and dedicated to serving the public all day, every day. As a believer in local government, I am committed to devolution of power to local authorities, but I expect local representatives then, if given the responsibility, to take the responsibilities seriously and to ensure that they stand up for those decisions in public. I think that will bring about greater participation by the people and mean that more people will want to stand for election and participate in the local government process. If they begin to believe, and if the public begin to believe, down the road, trust will be rebuilt. Thank you.